bladed jig is one of the most versatile lures today in bass fishing. You hear about catching fish from the pre-spawn months through the summer into the fall. I'm here to tell you today that the bladed jig also will catch fish in the winter months as well. When them water temperatures get to 55 degrees and colder, the bladed jig still catches fish. Today in this video, we're going to talk about throwing the bladed jig in the winter months. We're going to go over the areas to throw the bladed jig. We're going to talk about the different types of bladed jigs. We're going to talk about the gear, and then we're going to dive into the different types of trailers to throw on the bladed jig. I'm also going to share with y'all one little key adjustment I made today that helped me went from missing a couple fish to putting some bass into the boat. Stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss this. We need you. Boat, get in the boat. Yeah, there, look at that one. Bladed jig fish in December, y'all. Like I said, I'm on a shallow oxbow lake. There is nothing like throwing this guy in the winter. A lot of people think you just got to go flip jigs and fish real slow. I'm here to tell you right now, this is why you throw a bladed jig in the winter. So growing up fishing ponds and your small lakes and even your big bodies of water, I loved throwing the original chatterbait. I still remember when the original chatterbait first came out to the public, and I remember buying two at the store and going to the pond the next day and catching some fish with it. And I was like, wow, this is it. That, y'all, was, I believe, 14, 15 years ago. And now today, the bladed jig has evolved. And one thing when I was younger, throwing the bladed jig, fishing ponds and getting into fishing these big bodies of water, it was when the winter months came, which I love to fish in the winter, I would just not throw it anymore. I personally thought it was just a pre-spawn, through the spawn, and then, you know, of course, into your summer months lure. The past couple years, I've learned that this guy is probably one of the better lures to throw in the month of December to February. So first, let's talk about the areas that you can throw a bladed jig at in the winter. I'm going to give you a guide on areas to target with the bladed jig in the winter. This will be an easy guide for you to follow for all types of bodies of water. I'll go over how I target fish today in an oxbow lake, then we'll go to highland reservoir and a lowland reservoir as well. This lure is known for being a tool for going up and down the bank, but we're about to go into depth on how this lure can be used during the winter months when the fish are not up on the bank. For me today, I'm fishing an oxbow lake up in northeast Arkansas. Oxbows are lakes formed off of main rivers and typically a U-shaped. These lakes are shallow, have cover such as cypress trees, grass, and lily pads. There are a lot of times that these lakes do not fish like your normal bodies of water, but we're going to go into depth on how to target the fish in these oxbows to give us a better understanding of how we can use it in our lowland and highland reservoirs. Cypress trees are the main cover in this oxbow I'm fishing today. The lake is surrounded by the trees. People may want to fish these trees flipping a creature bait or a jig. When the water temps are cold, fish will actually suspend around the tree nubs, stumps, and even the standing timber in front and around the trees that you may or may not see. Jigs and Texas rig baits may go by these fish on the way down, but you're not in the strike zone for the majority of the cast. The bladed jig can be thrown up to the shallow depths to see if there are any fish up there really shallow, but this lure is meant to stay in a specific zone that the bass could be in. For me today, the fish I caught all came off of wood that my bladed jig hit or went around. This lure does great with reflecting off cover, and there will be times that you'll get it hung up, and if that happens, that is okay. Today, I did not have forward-facing sonar or live scope as it's also known. The water clarity was 1 to 2 feet, and I could not see the cover that was in front of me in the depths. I did not even know what depth my boat was in since I did not have the electronics on in the boat. I trusted that there was cover in front of me and tried to keep this bait 2 to 3 feet below the surface, targeting the wood. Now let's go to a lowland reservoir and give examples of how to take this information and fish the bladed jig. For lowland reservoirs, you need to target flats, ditches that are related to a creek channel. These flats do not need to be super deep. I would try to fish this lure actually in 7 feet or less. The key to finding the flats related to the ditches or channels is that bass will suspend in the channels, and then when they want to eat, they will go up on the flats. On these flats, you want to target stumps, timber, grass, rock, and shale beds if the lake has it. One tip from my experience in the winter months, if you have a couple days of straight of sunny conditions with no wind, these target covers that I just went over will hold more heat than usual, and the bass may even stay up on these flats longer than they do to enjoy the sunny conditions in the cold months. Next, let's talk about highland reservoirs. As I mentioned earlier, this lure works best in stained water, so we'll want to target the river arms section of the lake. The clear water exception is grass, which this lake does have. First, let's go up into the river. So similar to lowland reservoirs, start off by following the channel. Look for flats, ditches, humps that are related to the channel. Then go explore and discover if there's any target cover. You can use your side scan and down scan to help you determine what the cover is. Then also, as you fish the cover, it is important that you deflect the lure off of the cover. This right here will trigger more bites. Then going down the lake to the clear water, we have target covers such as hydrilla. You can throw the bladed jig down the edge of the grass in the ditches, target the points, and even throw it on top of the grass flats. I like to fish the shallower portions of the grass with this lure, as I have other lures that I'll target the deeper sections of the grass. As you are watching this, you may be thinking I can throw other lures in some of these areas. That's why I'm going over how the bladed jig can be used more than just going up and down the bank. Some of these areas have seen other lures for years on years. So why not go after and throw a different presentation to them to try to get you more bites? Now let's go back to the boat and go over the different types of bladed jigs, trailers, and colors, and then the gear that I like to use with them as well.
Really quick, if you guys enjoy the content in this video and want more personalized instruction, head to our website, fishthemoment.com. Then go to the virtual lessons page. Here you can book one-on-one virtual lessons with each member of the Fish the Moment team. In these 1-hour lessons, the Fish the Moment team member will break down your lake using Google Earth and a contour line map and answer any questions you have. Whether you're preparing for an upcoming fishing tournament or a fun weekend on the lake, make sure you sign up for one of these one-on-one virtual lessons so you're fully prepared to catch as many fish as possible on the water. Check them out at fishthemoment.com.
So let's talk about color with the bladed jig. When you're thinking about colors, you're thinking of you're going to replicate either a shad or a bait fish, or you're going to go ahead and mimic a crawfish, brim. And for me today, I started off at the lake that I was fishing. I started off with this color here. This is the slobber knocker in the hot craw, I think they call it color. It's a little bit of a red, as you see there, and it's a green, maybe a little green pumpkin, but there's even a little bit of orange right there in the blade. The reason for me that I started off with this color is I know these oxbows in Arkansas typically have a lot of brim in them, and red ear is one of the bigger brims that bass like to eat. And then this one, I had 2 short stripes with it. And I kind of made an adjustment that I'll talk about in a minute with color and the trailer. The next color, and this is the color that did all my damage for me this day, is this was the jackhammer, and I think it's called the bruised color. It's a little bit of black and blue, and you can kind of see it there maybe, but it's a little bit of a green pumpkin in there. So a little bit of a green pumpkin with the blue. My trailer's not on here. I'm going to get to that in a minute. The trailer I put on, I actually ran out of them during my fishing trip. And so I'm about to go ahead and go through the modifications and all that with y'all here in a bit. So just talking about some other colors, the one that's came on the past couple years is fire craw color, the red and orange. Now right here, this is actually the original chatterbait. This one here, I know the other day did really well for me on one of my local lakes. After I filmed that fishing trip, I went out for fun over here, and this dude, man, like I said, it does a good job. And I know, like I'm saying, this is the original chatterbait. There are times that I really think the original chatterbait catches more fish than the jackhammer will, because it's not thrown as much. So many people went and bought them jackhammers and now the slobber knocker and other loud style of bladed jigs. And I think that these guys, the fish just are not as used to the quieter vibration. And so I will go and I'd like to make a video on that later in the year or the upcoming year on when to throw the original chatterbait and when to throw the louder style. If you like that video, just leave a comment down below. Some other colors, here's your shad pattern one as well. This is a silver blade here, and you've seen the blades are different colors, man. There's a time they want the silver or the gold blade. This is a jackhammer here. I've kind of forgot the name of this color, man. It's a really good shad imitator, and I'm going to talk about trailers here in a minute. And then, like I said, here's just another green pumpkin. This is that Thunder Cricket. I know we were just talking about blades. There's big blades, small blades, and their blade's a little different, as you see, and this little bit of difference causes a different vibration in the water. So there are times where I believe, and I've had fishing trips to where they might want this vibration over one of these. And now I don't have as many Thunder Crickets in my box as I probably should, but there are times the fish, man, from throwing these so much, that they will want one vibration over the other. Another color here, man, that's done really well for me in the lowland reservoir lakes, your muddy waters, or for me, you know, like these shallow body waters that kind of have that Florida water that I will say the Bite Delight. It's a unique color. Like I said, it has a little bit of brown in there, you know, a little bit of clear, some green there, yellow, a little bit of everything. And so that's like I said, these are just a couple colors here when you're determining, like I said, are you going to go after shad, brim, crawfish? Now, talking about trailers, okay, as you saw here, this trailer is just the Gary Automoto Swim and Cinco, one trailer I like to throw in there at times. Like I said, it's, you know, it's more of a shad imitator, and so with your trailers, you're going to be determining the same thing. Are you going to try to have a crawfish imitator or a shad imitator? I know y'all might have saw this earlier. This is the Reaction Innovation Dipper Junior. It's on backwards. I'll let y'all figure that out on, you know, putting your trailers on backwards and seeing the action that they give. Let you kind of go check that out yourself. This right here, now here's something I know is kind of odd. We have a crawfish imitator, it's red and orange, but we have a swim bait style trailer. This is the Gary Automoto Zaco, and man, it's a great bladed jig trailer. But you know, you're thinking, hey, it's a swim bait style trailer, but it's a crawfish imitator. And y'all, just the fish sometimes wants the color. This action right here, man, does a great job. And like I said, and I'll probably share some footage this out actually the other day. Caught me some fish over here and some grass at one of my lakes. So like you see some trailers, we got the Z-Craw Junior. It's one of my staples that I throw. People that know me know I love the Z-Craw. And then I'm going to talk about my adjustment today. So earlier in my fishing trip, this right here you see is a Z-Craw Junior. It's a smaller style you know, trailer, and I had 2 short strikes. So the short strikes told me that either it was the color or that it was the style or the size of the bait, because it was just so small. The water, as y'all know, is a little bit muddier that I was fishing, so I decided to put on a bigger style trailer. So this right here is the Big Bites bait, Yo Mama, and y'all, this is a great flipping bait. This is in the South African special color. As you see, this is that greenish blue color, and I did put these together and make it work. I'll move some of these out of the way so you can see what's happening here. So I went with a bigger trailer to give a bigger profile in the muddier water, give a little bit more vibration, give the bass a bigger target. And also this time of year in the cold months, these fish want a bigger meal. They're eating 1 or 2 times a day. So I'm going to try to feed them and give them opportunity to get their meal right now. So with this, I didn't just put this on, okay? So what I did first was cut this down just a little short. So I cut it right there, just a little short. I hate doing this to this lure because this lure is a great flipping lure and it catches a lot of fish, but it's a great trailer as well. So what I did is I cut these little extra little claws off. Once again, I hate doing this, but it did what it did to catch some fish. Because I know this bait here is a great flipping bait. Y'all that know and throw this, like I said, there we go. And it has a unique name with the Yo Mama name. So then I put this dude on, okay? I put this guy on. Let's put it on. And what we're about to see, I know I have the camera right here. Hopefully this don't. There we go, okay? So I put it on. And now what we have here is this bladed jig, and it's a bigger profile, okay? Hopefully you can tell the size difference right there. I'll put these up a little bit. The size difference of these two, okay? So the bigger profile ended up, as you see from my fish catches, man, it did a great day. Caught me some fish and caught me some big fish as well. So that was my adjustment today. And hopefully this helps and gives you just a little bit of an idea on bladed jigs, what to throw, and just different types. And just for me, as a simplicity standpoint, have your original chatterbait, okay, and your couple different colors, and then have your loud style, if it's the slobber knocker, the jackhammer, whatever it is. So there you go. Now, hey, let's go back to the boat, and let's talk about the gear, the rod, the line that I was using in my fishing trip and that I like to use with these bladed jigs. Now let's talk about the gear, and there's going to be a couple things I'm going to share with fishing this time of year. One of those is your bait cast reel, or whatever reel, if you like spinning reel too, but your bait cast reel, the gear ratio needs to be a little slower. You do not need to have a high speed gear ratio reel, because with it being these colder temperatures, you do need to reel these baits a little bit slower. And even for me, I've gone down to fishing these bladed jigs on a 6:4 to 1 gear ratio year round, okay? You can go slower for the winter, and I know some guys that have really gone to the 5 speeds in the winter and early pre-spawning caught fish, but when it starts getting warmer, you need a faster retrieve. So for me, I try to have a 6:4 to 1 gear ratio just year round, okay? Next thing for me that's important is the rod, okay? Now I'm using a Denali Covert Light 6.9 medium heavy spinnerbait rod, okay? This is just my rod that I throw a spinnerbait or this bladed jig on year round. If I had a personal rod just for the type of cover I was fishing today, cypress trees, I'd probably go down to a 6.6 rod just to take a couple inches off the top to help me skip it and get it further into places. The next factor for me on the bladed jig, and even in these shallower water lakes, is the line, okay? So you're not trying to keep this on the bottom. You can throw this out and slow roll it on the bottom. There's a time where that will happen, but for me, throwing it on monofilament line has been a key. But with the monofilament line, fishing in shallower water, it stays up in that water column more. Like I said earlier, the months of December, January, I thought you always had to stay on the bottom, fish slow, right? But then I learned that, hey, throwing moving baits is very key this time of year, because those fish will suspend, and they're going to suspend around some of this cover. They're not going to go far, but they're just going to suspend around it. When you're fishing on the bottom, they're not looking at it. Those fish are looking up. So even if they are on the bottom and they're looking up at your lure going over their head, they might think, what is that, dude? Go up there and eat it. Hey, go tie you on a bladed jig and throw it this winter. See what happens. Hopefully it puts more fish in the boat for you. If you like today's video, please give us a comment on what you think. We appreciate you watching. Like I said, today you see I'm kind of out here in a different little scenario. I'm in an aluminum boat, 20 horse. I don't have the electronics on. I think that's a 40 pound thrust trolling motor. So I'm kind of going after the people that I know that watch this show that do not have the big old bass boats and all the electronics. So here we are, giving y'all opportunity to learn and show y'all that, hey, you don't need all that stuff to catch fish, okay? Like I said, hey, we appreciate you watching the channel. We will see you next time.